Roll call, please.
Simons.
Here.
Freehand. Boda.
Here.
Casales. Horn.
Here.
Babel. Here. Blackstock.
Okay, we have two not present. Moving on to the Pledge of Allegiance. Would you follow me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Get it down?
You got the breakdown.
All right, moving on to the approval of the agenda as presented. Is there any additions or deletions to the agenda as you have it? If not, a motion to accept the, approve the agenda as presented.
I'll make that motion.
All right, we have a motion and we have a support. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next, we have the approval of the minutes of June 3rd, 2019.
If there are no additions or deletions, I'll make a motion to accept the minutes from June 3rd, 2019.
I'll support.
Okay, it's been moved and supported that we approve the minutes. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to public comment. Is there anybody in the audience that would like to talk about anything that's not on the agenda?
My name's Cindy Boda. I'm the chair of the Park Commission. We were notified today, and there's been a little water over the sidewalk going to the canoe kayak launch, but today there's quite a bit of water. The water's up some everywhere. I spoke to 5 of the 7 Park Commission members tonight, and it's our recommendation that we put up a sign that says, use at your own risk, not ADA accessible at this time due to the high water. I don't know if the board has an opinion on this or think we need a legal opinion on it.
I think we need a legal opinion or some kind of opinion, because if it's not ADA, it's not open to everybody.
Well, do we want them to go down or slip and fall in the water?
Yeah.
So, it's kind of to your board now
So it's a
because,
temporary closure, is that what you're?
correct,
Yes.
until the water goes down some, gets off the sidewalk.
Doesn't that basically cover us, though, if it says that enter, use at your own risk? Without having all the
I don't
legal.
know. I would say then we should just close it. We don't want to put the township at risk of a slip and fall down there. So it's going to be kind of slippery under, is that wood going out onto that?
No, it's
So
a
aluminum?
metal walkway and it's got like that stuff that, keeps it from being slippery.
Anti-skid.
the-
I know they've been using it going through the water. I've seen people.
Right.
But it's deeper now.
It's the sidewalk, right? That is not underwater. The ramp is not underwater. It's the sidewalk that's got water over it.
Any suggestions, Cindy?
Well, I did receive the photos and the concerns from the park manager at about 4:15 today. I did send it along to our insurance carrier. I don't think I'll get a reply today as to what the best route is as far as signage, closing it, so I don't know right now.
Okay.
Okay, so the process will be that I'll hear from you?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
we should let our insurance carrier tell us what direction we should be going.
Okay. Another thing is we're going to be doing a new railing down at the River Park across from Regatta. And we're going to temporarily, while they're welding and doing things, close those driveways, just while they're doing that, and then open them as soon as the contractor's done during, at the end of the day, each day. So, unless we need a legal opinion on that, or the contractor has asked us to just not have people in that park while they're welding and doing the work on it. Should take a few days to get that done.
I would think you'd want to close it. You don't want anybody getting flashed,
That was the thought on that, so we're okay to
So
go ahead and,
you want us to ask that too, or? I mean, I think we can do a temporary closing of the park for a day or two to do maintenance work.
Portion of the park or the park?
that little park, it would be closed off so
Okay.
that nobody could go in there.
We have the barrier going across there right now, don't we?
Correct. We have a snow fence up, but he's asking that we close the driveways also.
Do you have signs that-
The contractor just parked in their driveway, so they can't get in.
But I think we should have some kind of signage.
Right.
Shouldn't put the onus on the contractor to keep the people out of there.
No, we do have signs down there right now. They're on the snow fence right now, and we would move them out to the driveways while he's working.
I would think that would be fine on a day-to-day basis while he's doing the work. But can we check with the,
I think that's fine. I just wanted to make sure you had signage up. I
yeah.
think that would be fine.
Yeah, there's been signs up.
So why don't you put the signs up and close it on a day-to-day basis as the contractor's working?
And then he will take those down at the end of his workday
Okay.
so that people can pull in. It's mostly because of the work being done and the welding being done. And I think everybody probably knows a lot of our fields have been closed because of the weather, because of the rain. Soccer and quite a few of the baseball leagues have taken themselves off the fields because they knew it was bad. The men's league, I think, was gonna play tonight. Soccer's been playing on the backfield, but it is what it is, and we're
Right.
finally able to get some of the mowing done the end of last week, the big mower, but, so.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else wanna speak?
Good evening, my name is Robert Blair. I live at 2613 Bell River Road, and I still have a water problem in my backyard. I know that everybody has an overabundance of rain right now, but I was here for the last year, ever since they built the house a couple doors away from me. The water is draining into the ditch is running down, and it's overfull, and it's filling my yard. I have 12 inches of standing water in my backyard. I cannot cut the grass. Something needs to be done.
What is your recommendation?
My recommendation is that you clean the ditch back there. I mean, I know that it hasn't been cleaned. I lived here 21 years and it's never been cleaned. And I don't understand, water only goes so high and it's gotta go somewhere. And it's in my yard, and I'm tired of not having a backyard. I've spoke to this board before about it, but we're not getting anywhere. There's no answers. The houses that were built's 3 feet higher than everybody around them, and we get all the drainage. When their property drains to that ditch fills up, there's nowhere for it to go but back in our yards. We need to solve this problem. I spoke to the inspector when that house was being built, and I was told that it was above his pay rate. So, I mean, what kind of answer am I getting?
Yeah.
And I had him over there 3 times before he got fired, and he came in tennis shoes, knowing that there's 12 inches of water. Well, I'm not walking back there. Well, somebody has to do something. He made the mistake, but it's on the township. He worked for the township. So we have
I
to,
asked Robert to come here tonight to ask the board what we can do.
I have a
I
question.
don't know.
Can't wait.
On Bell River, across the street from me, they dug the ditches deeper. What was the reason for that?
Can we dig that deep?
That's the county ditch,
Yeah?
and they wanted it so the water runs off the road better. Would you think would be better if we dug your side of the ditch?
No, it's just gonna be filled up again from the back. It's gonna run from the back to the front. That's not gonna solve it. It's just gonna, maybe for a few days, dry it out, but that's all it's gonna do. The water's still coming from 3 doors down.
I think what the board has to do, I've done it, is walk the bike trail and see what what kind of a mess is down there.
I
I
mean-
agree with Robert, it's a mess, but there's trees in that ditch that are 3 feet around. or
You and I
bigger.
both have been down there before that property was sodded or anything, and we both seen how that water runs right down and comes right to us. I mean, we know where it's coming from. But there's nothing we can do about that fella now. His house is built.
Right.
But I shouldn't have to suffer for this.
Well, you just had water on it before the house was.
Yeah, but it dried. This is the middle of June.
Well, I mean, my yard is full of, everybody's yard, like you heard Cindy say, that, they can't cut the soccer fields, but you have an excess amount of water, I agree.
Right. And it's, every year, since that house, it's getting worse. My yard's getting smaller and smaller. I don't,
Didn't you say one of the neighbors dug a ditch down to the ditch? Didn't we look at that?
yeah, but what, my neighbor at one time that lived there, he cut a ditch to drain his yard into that ditch.
And now it's going the other way.
And it's going the other way because the ditches are full. But from that bike path to the property line, you still own that property. And even though he cut into it and had no right to do it, he did it. It's still coming into my property. I mean, the dirt has to be filled somewhere. I can't fill your dirt. You're not gonna fill my yard.
Right.
So, I mean, we need to get people out there to look at this. I've had these inspectors out there maybe in the last 3 or 4 years, 5, 6 times, and it's not going anywhere. I'm not getting any answers, I'm getting a runaround.
Well, I think why I asked them to come here, does the board want to have our engineers look at something like this and see? This is a big project, to clean that ditch.
Is it a county-owned ditch?
I don't think so. I believe that we own the bike path. We bought the right of way from the railroad. It's ours, but where does it say that we drain all those backyards through that ditch? I don't know.
Larry, is there a ditch on the west side of that bike path?
Both sides.
Can you put a tube under the bike path?
The other side of the bike path is really flooded.
Well, it just only goes a couple houses where we live, and then it doesn't drain because there's a culvert there that's not low enough for it to go anywhere.
Okay.
The whole thing is messed up. It needs to be cleaned somehow. And I don't think, if the board would look at this, as far as an expense, I believe that if they dug it out, they could just build a berm right there with it. There would be no cost for moving anything.
A berm on the edge of our property?
On the edge of your property, which would keep your ditch from going, it would give it a couple more feet upward to hold water instead of draining into our properties.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know what to do here, but
I
I've
don't
been here
either.
a few times and I know what the problem is and why it's like that. I understand we all have water now because of overabundance of rain, but it wasn't raining last year like this when I had a foot of water and came here.
Okay. Marie,
I'm
did you have
asking the
something you
board
wanted to say?
to take a few minutes to,
No, behind you there.
go out there and look at it.
Well, I mean, I've looked at it 2 or
Right.
3 times. That's why I think the rest of the board should take the opportunity to go look at this.
Right.
See what we
need
have
to
there.
Come up with some sort of,
Direction.
problem solving here. I'm not the only one. My neighbor to the left of me, he can't be here because he works at nights all the time. And he lives right next door to the problem.
Yeah.
Like you asked me, well, if you go there, would you speak for me also? I'm like, okay, I'll tell him, we've got the problem, that's it. So I'd like the board to, see what they can do, let's try to solve this problem. I mean, it's not only my wet yard. I'm not responsible for your ditch, I understand you're not responsible for my yard, but the water's coming from your ditch into my yard.
What
Okay.
if we contact the county?
We've had the county over there look at it.
Okay, I understand.
Okay.
What if you had the county come over, see how much it would cost to dig that ditch deeper, and clean out the brushes up?
You better go look at it first and see how big a project this is. I mean, you guys agree, it's no small project.
Well, that's fine, I'm just saying,
Okay,
suggesting
yeah.
something, that's what you wanted.
I can have them go over and do that.
If it's got full of trees, cut the trees out, clean the ditch out, dig it deeper.
Marie, you had something?
Still gonna have water.
Sorry to interrupt you.
That's okay, I'm done, I just wanted to make sure that they understand.
If you have the county come out there, I don't know whose ditch is responsible on the bike path, but on our lot line, there's a big ditch, a county ditch that runs there next to the conservation club, and that's where it goes out. That would have to be cleaned out to alleviate the ditch by the bike path. So
Right.
if you just added that to your county.
Yeah, it's a big project. It's not just cleaning it out behind their houses. It's gotta have a place to go.
They're
And
probably
that's where
all
it goes,
full.
is that county.
They're all full. They haven't been, nothing's been done on them in 40 years, probably. So,
And when I was here for 22.
right. Well, I mean, it's something, I don't know when we bought the bike trail. It was 25 years ago, I would think. Was the bike trail when you bought
Yeah.
it?
Yeah, I was there in, the township owned it,
We bought the railroad right.
because I was told that I could not drain anything into these ditches. The road commission said that the run out in front belongs to them, and it's to keep the water off the road, not for my property to drain my sump pump. So it runs, you know, it kinda runs on the lawn and stuff. The back belongs to you folks, and nobody would give me permission to, drain anything on that. Nobody wants the problem.
Well, in talking with the county, you know, they're really busy. This is a big project. I don't even know if they would undertake this project. It may have to go to an outside contractor. We can't do it with our equipment. I mean, we're talking big, big trees. And lots of them.
You know, I mean, it takes a while for a tree to grow. This problem, it slowly moved itself into this.
Right. All right, well, we'll get a hold of the county and see if they're interested in giving us a price to fix that, if that's what the board is directing us to do.
If they can't do or won't do, then ask them if we can get the private contractor to come in, or get a place from the contractor.
Well, they have no jurisdiction in that ditch, the county. Now, I don't know about the county drain commissioner. Marie, do you know that that ditch alongside of you, is that a county drain?
I believe it is. I believe it is.
Maybe that's the other thing, we do get the drain commissioner down here and let him tell us whose drains they are.
Right. Because when they cut across the road, they cut the ditch on the east side of the road, I asked if they were cutting on the west side. I was
But we only went in there about 50 feet.
right, but, you know, even just to get that running, but even if it gets running, it's gotta go along the conservation fund.
My problem was before they built that house, there was a ditch on that lot that ran all the way to the thing. There's a culvert there that goes under the street and takes it across the street.
Oh, okay.
And the people that bought the ditch filled it in. So there's nowhere for that water to go.
Oh,
It just become one problem after another. And when, like I said, I spoke to the inspector several times, and I told him the answer I got. He didn't really care. And I explained to him, even though it was above his pay rate, you're still getting paid. That's not my problem. Your problem is to solve mine. It just didn't work out.
All right. Is there anybody else on public comment?
Yes.
You want to go to the podium?
Yep, I sure can. My name is Mike Delore. I live at 2605 Bell River Road. I'm Bob's neighbor to the south. I'm here to also be heard about the water issue that's in our backyards. My yard is flooded just like Bob's. I have a neighbor to the south of me who raised the grade by building a pole barn and putting a driveway pad in the back. So like Bob, the neighbor that he has an issue with that built the house and raised the grade, we're sandwiched in between two homes that raised the grade, and we're getting the water that's coming off of the bike path ditch. So I don't know if there's much more that I can be heard that Bob already hasn't said, other than we're flooded out. I don't know that anybody's come and looked at my property, but I'm to
Is
the
what?
south. I don't know if anybody in this board has come and looked at my property.
Well, Bob and I walked it all when we were back there.
Okay, well, I'm to the south of him.
Yeah, I don't know the answer. I just say,
No, and I don't know there's much more you can say or we can add tonight, but I just wanted to make sure that it's well understood that there's more than Bob that's flooded out.
I mean,
am as
when the
well.
vegetation grows in, you can't see nothing back there. We were looking at it in the wintertime when the leaves are off. It's a whole different picture, but it's not flooding then.
Yeah, that's right, that's right.
And it seems like from the street that goes in there, what's the name of the street? Bell,
Bell River,
Bell Circle Drive or something?
yeah,
Bell River Road.
no, the one that goes to the west, the subdivision. Seems like from there it should flow one way. There's no water on the other side.
No, going down towards Angela's house, there's nothing.
Because
I
we
mean,
thought
you
it
know,
was,
we
we
all
thought
got
it was
water
plugged
right now,
underneath
but
there, and we had the
absolutely
culvert
nothing
checked,
going
it's
that
not
way.
plugged. But there is a spot that has the ditch plugged there, but I don't see where that's gonna help us, but,
Well, you know, it can only stay plugged and builds up, and then after that it runs.
right.
And just keeps, it keeps going.
All right, well, we'll see if we can get the drain commissioner down, maybe, he should be the person that, I guess, we never thought about getting him in there.
Well, we should find out, you know, who owns what, and let's try to solve this problem, because it's just too bad. And like I said, I know we all have water now. This isn't a good time for me to come here and complain.
Yeah, because
Okay.
we're all underwater.
We're all underwater.
Right.
But when I was here last year, nobody else was underwater, but the people where we live.
Right.
You know, nobody else had that problem throughout the town.
Well, we have other people that have that
Right,
problem.
not by me, you know,
Yeah.
and we need to solve it.
Okay, we'll
I
see
got
what we
one
can.
neighbor telling me that my grass stinks, you know, because
Yeah.
it's rotting away. I can't do nothing.
Well, there's really about 4 houses there where we have a problem, I think.
Right,
Yeah, about 4.
Okay,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
thanks.
Anybody else? Public comment? Okay. With that being said, we'll move on to the consent agenda. We have the C1 is May 2019 St. Clair Area Fire Authority Report. C2 is the May 2019 Marine City Area Fire Authority Report. C3 is the May 2019 Balance Summary Report. C4 is the May 2019 Cash Summary and Bank Report. C5 is the May 2019 Cash Summary by Cash Report. And C6 is the May 2019 Revenue and Expenditure Report. And you all had that in your packet to go through. It's a lot of detail in there. If you,
I'll make a motion, we accept the consent agenda as presented.
Support.
Support.
it's been moved and supported that we accept the consent agenda as received. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to disbursements, we have invoices of $54,208.93. We have accounts payable of $42,109.80. We have a payroll direct deposit of $37,601.10. We have a EFT payments of $42,907.78. And we have a tax of $95.77, for a total disbursement of $176,923.83,
38.
or 38 cents, excuse me.
I'll make a motion that we pay the bills in the amount of $176,923.38.
Support.
Okay, we have a motion and a support to pay the bills in the sum of $176,923.38. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Simons,
Yes.
Freehand, Boda,
Yes.
Passalis, Horn,
Yes.
Babel,
Yes.
Blackstock.
Motion carries. We pay the bills. Moving on to new business, we have the Workers' Compensation Fund Annual Policy. You have it in your packet. This is something we renew every year. Am I correct with that, Cindy? This is a
Correct.
Annual?
I believe you've been with the fund for a few years. I don't know how long for sure, but
You got a little credit on it.
So what we need is a motion to pay the MML Workers' Compensation Fund premium payment of $16,273.00.
I'll make a motion to go ahead and pay the premium policy for 2020 coverage of not to exceed $16,273.
I'll support.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a support to pay the Workers' Compensation Fund annual policy. Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Simons,
Yes?
Freehand, Boda,
Yes.
Casales, Horn,
Yes.
Babel,
Yes.
Blackstock.
Motion carries. Moving on to the financial audit report under new business two. Mr. Scott Hoskins from Stewart Bovee and Whipple.
Thank you very much. Passed out an outline for you tonight. I'll start with the financial statement, go through that. Just hit some high points, all right? And if anybody has any questions, please stop me and ask the questions. I'll start with pages 1 and 2. This is our independent auditor's report. So this is basically our part of your financial statement where we give our opinion on the statements. And that's on the top of page 2, first paragraph, and it indicates that these statements are, in accordance with general accepted accounting principles. So that's the best report you can receive. Second paragraph indicates that we implemented GASB statement number 75. So this standard added the net OPEB liability to basically the statements of net position in these financial statements. And it adds some disclosures that you'll see when I go through the statements a little later. We'll flip through and go to, I'll flip to page 8 now. This is a statement of net position. So this is a government-wide presentation. So this is on the full accrual basis. You'll see all the capital assets reported here, and then all your long-term debt is also reflected here. And you can see that it's broken down into governmental activities, business type
Oh, I didn't get
activities.
to listen to him.
and
What
the
page are you
component-
on, Scott?
Pardon?
Page 8.
Mr. Boda wants to know what page.
What page are you on?
Oh, I'm on page 8.
He's going through a lot with the highlights. He's highlighted it in this magazine.
Yeah, I probably won't follow that too carefully. That's more for your information.
Okay.
I wasn't going to spend much time on this. This is this is a requirement of the state that we provide this government-wide presentation. It does, as I said, provide all the capital assets and long-term debt, and it breaks it into a net position. You can see your governmental activities has a net position of about 3.5 million in total. And your business type activities, this would be your sewer and water fund, that they have a net position combined of 11 million approximately. And I'm going to flip now to page 11. And page 11 is,
Now you'd be in
this is the balance sheet for your governmental funds. Your major funds are the general fund and the township capital projects fund. And you can see toward the bottom of the page that you have a total fund balance in your general fund of $1,499,979. And then your township capital projects fund, a fund balance of $552,579. And then flipping over to page 13, you can see the operating statement for the governmental funds. And looking down, net changes in fund balance, you can see for your general fund, you added $116,141 to your equity in the general fund. And the township capital projects, $187,113. So I'm going to flip over to page 15 and 16 now. These are this is the statement of net position for your water and sewer fund. So I will refer to the outline now. I just want to point out, we kind of want to make sure you're staying on top of, the I guess rates, water and sewer rates and so forth. You have been. I just want to give you some idea of where you stand now. If you look at net position down at the bottom of page 16, you can see all these funds have unrestricted deficits. The water fund has an $88,611 deficit, unrestricted deficit. The sewer fund has a $349,644. Now, this is created primarily due to the pension and OPEB plans, primarily. But I wanted to give you some idea, how you're doing if you look at operations and adding back depreciation, which is a non-cash payment that you have, just to see, you want to make sure that you have enough cash flow, I guess, to meet your obligations in the future. So looking at page 17 now, your operations for your water and sewer fund, you can see typically these funds operate at a loss. You can see operating losses presented for both funds. But when you add back the depreciation, it shows that the water fund is just below, I guess, negative. It's $1,469 after adding back depreciation. The sewer fund, though, is actually still underwater by $370.31. Now, this year you had some significant, I guess, maintenance and sewer repairs. That's created, the reason for that large increase, I guess. You can see from the prior year, you went from a $13,913 add back to the level that it is in 2018 of $370,031. So this year's operations, you had those repairs and maintenance that were much more significant than you normally have, and you also increased the net pension liability about 57%. So I'm just telling you to monitor that because I know you raised rates and look at how it's going, this year, especially look at how the cash position is. You should see the cash kind of staying stable, not going down significantly if you're meeting your cash needs. And then I also wanted to point out the internal service fund because this year we advised the township to look at the allocation of the pension and the OPEB liabilities and to actually allocate more to the internal service fund than you were doing previously because that's where the people work, so that obviously the pension and the OPEB liabilities should be paid out of those funds. So that what happened here is that also created some, I guess a one-time allocation into there has made it go into a deficit, which I expect will stabilize, I guess, in the future. You'll have to kind of look at how the rates are, but I expect back on page 16, you see now it has an unrestricted deficit of $31,588. Now, all these deficits are still in compliance with the state of Michigan. You don't have to file deficit reduction plans because you have sufficient current ratio, current assets over current liabilities. So there's no requirement, to file anything with the state related to these matters. It's just something you should continue to monitor to make sure that your rates are covering the costs for these funds. And let's see, I want to flip over to the next page, page 19. And you can see the one thing I want to focus on is the other post-employment trust fund. And you've been making contributions to this fund, $50,000 contributions annually. And you can see that this year wasn't a good year for investing. You actually did have an investment loss of $33,940. So you only gained $16,000, even though you contributed to the $50,000. But you now have $480,992 in that fund. So hopefully you see the stock market kind of turn around. It has. It's going to be fluctuating, but the reason it was low, at the end of this year, so that's why it's showing a negative in investment earnings. The good thing is that you have that money over in the trust. It's allowing you to use a higher discount rate to value the OPEB liability. So that liability actually improved, I guess, because of that discount rate that you can use now that you have money invested over in that trust. Let's see. On page 27, there's going to be some new pronouncements. They're listed here in the report. 84 is on fiduciary activities. That will change how you report the agency funds in your financial statement. It shouldn't be too significant for the township. Statement 87 is on leases, and this will bring basically operating leases onto the balance sheet that haven't been recognized in the past. It really won't have much impact as well on the township. On page 28, budgetary compliance, you didn't have any budget overages to report, so that's good. I'm going to flip over to the pension liability now, your MERS pension. And we show a chart on page 41, and you can see it breaks down the total pension liability in various categories, but the total is approximately $9 million, your total pension liability, and then you have assets over there at MERS about $5 million. So we end up with a net pension liability of approximately $4 million. It's actually $3,917,239, and the funding level is at almost 56%. So that is a little light, a little below the threshold the state requires. So you are going to have to file a corrective action plan related to this. I mean, the corrective action plan will essentially say that you're going to follow the actuary's advice. The actuarial report does provide you guidance as far as, you can fund it at a higher level than just the actuarial determined amount. So you can evaluate that and see what you want to do. But I expect, depending on where the stock market is at the end of next year, I guess, you probably should be at or close to that threshold, I think.
What is that, 60% then?
60% is a required threshold of the state.
Yeah, well, we're at 55 something.
50, yeah, it's 55.88%, it's almost 56%.
And we should be, if you dip below 60, that's when you have to do a CAP, corrective action plan.
Right.
Who submits that, Scott? Do we do that, or do you help us do that?
We can help you or assist you, but yeah, it's a form that you have to basically.
So we have to come up with a plan on how to get that back up to over 60.
Yeah, and it has to be approved by the board.
The board.
Yeah, and then you submit it to the state of Michigan, and they review it, and they could comment on it, they could reject it, they could, I think in your position, I don't expect there would be any problems.
Would MERS be the people we would deal on?
No, there's I can't remember what state department it is, but they've actually created this under the legislation that they passed in 2016, whatever it is, that added this requirement that, they have an actually, I think a 3-member board that really evaluates all the plans that are submitted, either accepts or rejects them.
We're waiting on that MERS report right now to come from.
You should be getting it, I think, pretty soon. You should be getting it, I hear others are getting theirs, so. The next thing I want to go over is the net OPEB liability, and we have a chart for that as well. That's on page 45, and this one, your total liability is $962,338, you have the assets, just went over that, of $480,992. So you have a net OPEB liability of $41,346, and you can see that's at approximately 50% funding level. So that meets this state threshold, which is 40% for the OPEB plans. So you'll be in good position with this one. So. And yeah, I just want to point out on page 50 of the report is your general fund budgetary comparison statement. And as I indicated, there were no budget overages. On page 51, you'll see the trend information for your pension plan. So we now have 4 years since the adoption of GASB 68. So you can see you're really hovering real close to that 60% level. You know, last year was at 62.52 and it dropped down to the 55.88%. And then on page 52 shows the contributions, and you can see you're just paying in the actuarially determined amount. So they require a certain amount, and you're meeting that obligation. So it's something you could actually just bump up an additional contribution if you do have the resources to do that. Otherwise, follow the actuarial advice, continue to to meet the required contribution levels, and it should get you back to the 60% threshold. I think their plan is to get it even higher than that, but it's trying to maintain some reasonable cost and not be having these large swings up and down in contribution levels. And then we started the retiree health benefits, or OPEB plan, trend information, and that's on page 54. So you can see that funding level, it was 51.57 in the prior year. It's dropped down slightly, down to almost a 50% level. And then you see on page 55 shows the contributions for the OPEB plan, and you can see you are actually paying in more than the amount that the actuary determines should be paid in annually. On pages 56 and 57, these are the non-major funds that you have, and you have several non-major funds that don't meet the criteria for major and aren't reported in front of the notes. It's because of their smaller size, that's why they're back here. But basically, you can see each fund are identified here. The balance sheets on page 56 and 57, and then on page 58 and 59, we show the operating statements for those funds. And then we have one last page in the report, and that's the budgetary comparison schedule for the building inspection fund, because that's a special revenue fund. It's required to have a budget, an annual budget. And again, this did not have any budget overages to report. Now, the two other reports we provide, one is the audit communication letter. So this is a required communication to the board, and this is basically to summarize what was significant to the audit this year. As I said, we did implement that statement 75 and that OPEB liability. I do want to point out that we did have, as you had challenges because of your loss of a lot of people last year, it also was challenging for us as your auditors because it did add a lot more risk, and so we did spend a little more time. We had to focus a little more effort and to basically get comfortable to overcome the risk that was because of the loss of the staff, I guess. So there is certain things that have been reported in the independent auditors report and internal control that you haven't seen in the past, and one of those items is the lack of segregation of duties. So at times, because of the transition, loss of staff, certain people had to cover for other people, and there were not as many, I guess, duties shared as there had been in the past. And we discussed this with both Corinne and Cindy. They're aware of it. I believe they're looking at, you know, the ways that they can spread it out a little bit, get more people involved and to take care of that matter. Page 2, we also pointed out that there was some, at certain times, cash receipts were basically weren't being recorded in the receipting system until later. You know, we saying that should be done as you're taking in the receipts during the period and balance at the end of each day. So we just wanted to bring that to your attention and have you address that. The other item is the one you've had in the past, and that's basically because you don't have the staff to prepare the financial statement in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles. And that's a common one that most small units have. We also, I'm flipping back to the audit communication letter. We also identify, you know, what are significant and sensitive disclosures, which I went through, basically the pension and the OPEB disclosures. We didn't encounter difficulties, you know, I mean, difficulties which we would say management were, you know, weren't being cooperative or anything like that. So if there were things of that nature, we would have to bring that to your attention as it's required of our standards. There were some misstatements, and we corrected everything, so there weren't any past misstatements. Everything was corrected and reflected, but we identify certain, I guess, material misstatements here that we summarize, you know, in this paragraph at the bottom of page 2. So these have all been made and are reflected in your audit report. And I guess the only other thing I want to point out is there were a number of items that didn't rise to a level of a significant deficiency or material weakness. They're attached to this letter, attachment A. And these are matters we've sat down with Cindy and Corinne. You know, they basically, Cindy's already been, you know, I think working on several of these, I guess even before they were put down and identified. But we just, this is basically what we think should be a priority, I guess, to take care of. And you know, if there's anything you need from us, I guess, any clarification or, you know, assistance in any way, we'd be happy to help you. I believe Cindy's already reached out to Tammy somewhat and asked for. So are there any questions?
Any questions?
No, I think I'm pretty good. We're not in too bad a shape.
Well, we're good except for that unfunded liability. That's,
Yeah.
but everybody's in that
I
situation.
think your OPEB, you're good with the OPEB. That's where most of them aren't good, you know. So the pension, I think, is an easy fix. That's just, the OPEB is a little more challenging because most people weren't funding it at the level they should have. They didn't start the trust. You were a little more proactive and got those trusts established, and that's why you're in the position you're in.
We did that like 6-7 years ago.
Yeah.
We started doing that. 50.
So a lot are just, you know, basically the state said now they're requiring it, because I don't think you can get a corrective action plan if you don't have some assets. You know, either you create the trust or you actually increase your contributions to a very significant level in order to, you know, to demonstrate that you'll be able to fund it, I guess, in a reasonable time frame to get to the 40% threshold.
Okay. So anybody else have any questions? Comments? Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for coming in on your vacation, too.
Oh, no, duty called.
Yeah.
What's that?
All
That's
right.
right. Thank you
Thanks,
very
Scott.
much. Good night.
Okay. All right. Moving on to new business 3 is a community shred day. This is something you got in your packet there. We're shredding here in the township. We keep up with, you know, we only have to keep things for 7 years, I believe it is.
Sometimes, yeah.
I think we
7
keep
longer.
8. but then we shred. So we've decided to offer this to the residents if the board is approving this.
The place down on it, Jersey was shredding there, they're no longer doing it.
Yeah, we got quotes, if you'll see in your packet there. It's $250 an hour. We want to have it for the 3 hours. It's $750. I can't remember what I paid. I did it a couple of years ago. We had the shredding company, but they were coming in to do East China schools, and we hooked up and did a deal, but,
There used to be a place on New Jersey, you could take it down there, I think it was $5 a pound or so,
yeah.
and they were shredded up. Now they're not.
Well, a lot of municipalities do this, gives the residents an opportunity to get rid of some of their sensitive information. I think it's a good idea. I don't know how the rest of the board feels about it. Debbie, you work in a bank, they do a lot of shredding.
Yeah, I think this is pretty good.
I mean, I think we should try it for a year and see how it goes, so. What we're doing is approve a community shredding day on Wednesday, June 26th, 2019, from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the East China Township Hall. This event is for East China Township residents only and has a 5-box household maximum. And the cost of the event is $750 for 3 hours. So if the board is, a motion to do that would be in order.
I'll make a motion. First, I would like to get a shredding day on, what is it?
June 26th.
Yeah, June 26th from 10 to 1 p.m. They can come down to Township Hall and not bring any more than 5 boxes.
Or bags, 5 boxes or bags, I think it was.
Just $5 minimum,
Yeah.
not more.
The cost of it now will be, paid by the township, so $150.
I'll support that motion.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a support to go along with this community shred day. Is there any further discussion? I'd just like to mention one thing, maybe in the fall too, we could do a large trash day where we have some bins down here, get rid of tires and stuff like that. I think that's offered through our Mterra contract, one hopper. But that's a side note, we'll look into that. So any further questions on the motion and the second? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Simons,
Yes?
Freehan, Boda,
Yes?
Casales, Horn,
Yes.
Babel,
Yes.
Blackstock.
Motion carries. We go on with the shred day. All right, moving on to new business item 4, proposals to prepare bid documents. This is for the lift station on Bell River Road and Meisner Road. You have that in your packet under MB4. We have our engineer here tonight if we have questions.
There is a correction to the memo. After speaking with our engineer, he clarified that we will be requesting items 1 and 2, the topo and the preparation of bid documents. So the totals on your cover page will actually be not what's listed. It'll be, let me do the math here. 200. And he can speak to the reasoning behind that.
So you're gonna do the typographical survey and the bid documents together?
Yeah, well,
Want to go to the podium?
Yeah. Topographical survey is required in order to prepare the bid documents. Topographical survey includes all the drafting for plans, construction plans, and any research into the easements, the floodplain. That's all included in that one category, labeled topographical survey.
So you're adding the $5,200 and $3,045 to your bid documents, is that what?
Nope, so I'll go over that really quickly. It's going to be for Meisner Road rehabilitation, the total would be for items 1 and 2, $23,500. If my math is right.
1 and 2 is 32,825.
18,300 plus 5,200, Right.
You're doing Bell River as well, right?
right? We're pulling them out separately.
Ah, okay,
So for Meisner, it's just how our cover sheet's written,
right.
is 23,500 for items 1 and 2 in the proposal. And for the Bell River, it will be 9,325 for items 1 and 2.
What was it, 9,000 what?
9,325. For a total of 32,825.
32.
32,825.
And that's out of a total project of $55,065?
Correct.
Right, what that will do is it will bring us up to the point of releasing the bids.
Didn't you already do
And-
some of the the design on these? You haven't done any of that before? Those estimates you gave us a year ago were,
Oh, yeah. I haven't been paid anything, but yeah, I've done quite a lot to this point, to get us to this point. So the,
so you haven't billed us for anything yet, huh?
no,
What you're
no.
saying, okay.
Yeah, what you wanted to do is you wanted to get an idea of what the total cost would be. And so we had to do quite a bit of digging just to get to this point where we're at now. So, but there's still more research related to the floodplain, obviously preparing drawings that the contractors can use to bid. All that has to still be done. But what I did is we consulted with contractors and directional drillers and different specialty contractors to make sure the feasibility of that is going to be. And then I reviewed your Wade Trim Engineers report, and that talked about future capacity requirements and things like that, so that we could have general specifications for that upgrade.
Did we make a decision on that pipe size?
Yeah.
4 to 6, and are we
Right.
gonna go to 8, or?
No, 6 is gonna be enough. Because it's a DR17, the HDPE type of pipe, so that inside diameter is enough. Sometimes they can be really high-pressure pipes, and so you lose quite a bit of the inside diameter, but that's not the case for us. And I verified with some of the contractors who gave us prices of what was that HDPE pipe. And so it's the 100 PSI, the DR17, which will give us enough capacity.
And you go across Bell River at the bridge.
Mhm.
You're planning on directional boring under the river?
Yes.
Last time that was tried, it didn't work. Because the old bridge was on the south side of the current bridge.
Mhm.
And there's a lot of old pilings in there, and the last company that tried it started boring under, the bore stopped, they pulled it out, and the bore was full of nothing but wood.
Mm.
It's all kinds of wood down around that river.
Yeah.
So if you were in something like that, you're gonna start considering attaching the new sewer pipe as the old one was, attach it to the bridge,
No, we'll directional drill under the river.
even if you run into the pilings.
Yeah, go right through them. You have 2 water mains that were directional drilled under there since that time, and they successfully drilled those under the river. So this is gonna be a very similar situation. In fact, we're crisscrossing through that same area for the sewer force main, so.
The county has assured us too that we cannot put that sewer line back on the bridge no matter what.
Yeah, it's against ASHTO regulations.
So it has to come off the bridge.
Yeah. I had directional drillers come, and so they were very confident that they would have the equipment to do that. It does require specialized equipment. It's not just a regular directional drilling. piece of equipment, and that was what instituted the two, making the price the way it is in the estimate. So doing both those crossings, the Meisner pump station and the Bell River pump station, they were able to mobilize that size directional driller to do that job. So,
I'm just curious.
I think one
Yeah,
thing we
no,
should
it's
explain
good.
is the scope of the job.
Mhm.
Correct me if I'm wrong here. The scope of the job right now is we're gonna do the boring underneath Bell River at the Meisner Road,
mhm,
rebuild the Meisner Road lift station,
correct,
elevate it to get it out of the floodplain.
Yep.
Have that station all renewed. And then the other part is just do the bore underneath the river at Springborn for a bypass.
Yep, yep.
And we're not rebuilding the Bell River station
Not in this, no.
because we've applied for grants, but we won't know on them until September, I think is. So we can't wait on this Meisner Road Bridge because we got to get that pipe off there. So we thought we'd break the project down a little bit. But what Anthony is telling us is that we get a better deal in the directional bore if we do both of the bores underneath the river. And Blaine has assured me that if we have that if we do the bore at Bell River and Springborn, that we can use that. If we were to lose the station, we could hook a portable up
That's right.
and pump underneath the river and get it over to Urban Drive.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why we made the decision to do that.
That road on the other side of Bell River and Springboard Road, that's a road where they're a private road.
Yeah, Springborn Road, you're right. That's where the sewer is.
Right.
Is there concrete piers under that Bell River Bridge, the old one?
There may be pilings at that depth, but they're not gonna have any problem to drill what
Okay.
they have to drill, yeah.
Okay.
And we also found another company too that the Edison has told us about.
Right.
And I have it on my computer. I can give that to you.
Yeah, Cindy explained that, so we're gonna look at what we can do to accommodate that, or
Well,
to
we're
build that
thinking
into the
of
bid.
timing it, but I don't know if we'll be through all this bidding.
Yeah.
What is the deadline we're looking at here now?
So what I recommend is that because I did have I started a dialogue with the road commission to get an idea what their project's timeframe is. And so I spoke with their design engineer. And so I recommend that we allow those contractors to work through the winter. Because I've talked to them and they said if they get 40-degree days, they can do most of this work through the winter. If you try to truncate it and get it done in the next, like in a few months, that you're gonna have a hard time getting them to commit to a bid. And if they do, they're gonna throw a very large number to just say, well, if they really need it, then we're gonna charge a premium. So I would recommend to do something like a April completion. That would
Right
give
now,
them-
we're just letting the bids go out. He's
Yeah.
gonna bring all the
right.
engineering, the documentation.
Yeah, that all can be done now, and then giving them till that time frame to complete, you'd still be before the road commission gets kicked off on their project. And we'll try to share as much as we can, now they're in design phase, because they're enlarging the road and everything. And so there'll be some overlap with the fill that
They're
we're bringing
enlarging
in.
the road
They're widening it.
at the
So-
bridge.
Yeah, at the bridge, yeah, 200 feet, I think, from either side. So, and what they had said is also something related to if they can get the beams in time, then they would be able to set the schedule, and that's what's dictating their schedule. And so it's similar for us because the major real hurdle is the equipment. So the equipment is specialized equipment, and it has a pretty decent lead time, sometimes as high as 8 weeks. And so, and it's just because everybody's doing this throughout the whole state, so there's a big demand. If you were to purchase that equipment, the township were to purchase it, it would gain you that 8 weeks while you're going through the contractor selection and whatnot. So I think it would have to be, we'd have to figure out how we can do that so that you can, because the contractors wouldn't, they usually like to mark up their materials, but in that case, they would probably not have a problem because most of their jobs they're being blamed for delays due to the suppliers, not them. So that might actually help as well to attract the contractors.
What Anthony's
So,
talking about is the pumps himself.
Yeah.
Those
pumps
are the
and-
ones that have the big lead time. That's what held us up on
Specialized.
Urban Drive.
Yeah, exactly. That's what slowed down that.
Well, they don't know. They're replacing the whole deck and the I-beams. They don't know about the footings. I think they think the footings are good on the bridge.
They're gonna, I think they're saying they're gonna drive down new
Yeah,
pilings,
They
but
don't know what,
it's
what
still
they're
in
gonna
design
run to.
phase. Yeah,
but they're gonna do it next
next
summer.
year. Yeah, it'll be completed.
What's that?
I hope we don't have that bridge time for a year.
Well, it's gonna be a minimum of 3 months, if not more, if everything goes good, so.
Yeah.
So what we're asking today is to approve, to bring it up to bidding the project.
Mhm.
And we're not saying we're gonna do the project, I mean, completely, we gotta do it, but I mean, you're saying to give the contractors enough lead time that they could work through October, November,
If
December?
they could make this project winter work for themselves, because you attract them. Because they're looking for that. They're not looking for any work right now in the summer.
Yeah.
They're booked. But if you're able to give them the option of doing this as winter work, then yeah, you'll get a lot better
All right,
pricing.
and we're asking for 32,625 hours, is that what?
825?
8 for phases 1 and 2 of the proposal.
You said 32,825.
What'd you say now?
You said 32,825.
32,825? Okay, you understand, what we guys, everybody, Debbie, you understand all
Is
this?
that right?
A little confusing. I mean, should we still at the same time get the price to do that Bell River, or is that a lot more money, or?
Well, your pump station rehab cost for Meisner is 180,000.
100 and what?
180,000. So you're not going to
How
be
did
too.
these prices go up so much from a year ago?
So
A year ago it
the
was 113.
it was 147, so it's gone up about 30%. And a lot of that is to do with the equipment costs. Some of the issue is that this project, we're enlarging, because we're raising it, we're enlarging the wet well. So there's different lengths of cable and things like that that have changed. And everything's so expensive. The cabling per linear foot is expensive. So that's what, all those things added together increase the cost, so.
Okay.
Even from us talking to the Urban Drive contractor and saying, if you were to do that Urban Drive again, what would you charge us? That helped to dictate as well how we're looking at our prices, so.
And what we'd be bidding to a general contractor, and he will
Yeah,
handle all
the way that we would do it is that we would put it in the plans houses, like CAM and Building Exchange, and then we'd advertise it for bid. I think typically with a voice, and then we would directly send those bid documents and invite contractors in the area that are capable to bid on it, or anyone that is interested in bidding on it. So, to try to draw as much interest as possible. I mean, everything short of like putting it on Mitten, we would do.
Right. Okay, so I guess we're looking for a motion to let him prepare the bid documents. Blaine, do you have any input to this, or do you went through all this?
I'll look it over. I've let Anthony know what we need to improve on from Urban Drive, what we had to add to it, and we should be good.
Okay. Thank you for coming tonight, too. I mean, so I guess we needed a motion to,
For them to prepare the bid documents.
yes. And the items 1 and 2, the typographical survey.
Right.
Items 1 and 2 here.
That was, what was Is that a total of 32,825?
Topo and the bid documents, and they come to $32,825. That's all the prints and the diagrams or
Yep.
the blueprints?
It would take you all the way to the point where your contractor is selected. At that point, then we would go to the parts 3 and 4.
Okay.
What's that, 32,
What's that?
$32,825.
$825. Does everybody understand what we're looking at here? You have any questions?
Well, we gotta do it. So I'll
It's a
make
lot of money.
I'll make a motion that we approve the bid documents for a total of $32,825 for the Meisner Road Bridge.
not to exceed,
What's that?
not to exceed.
Not to exceed $32,825.
Every PC.
That's for the Bell River too, right?
I'll support.
Okay, we have a motion and we have a support to allow PCE to propose to prepare the bid documents, not to exceed $32,825. Does everybody understand what the motion is? All right, any further questions? Roll call, please.
Simons,
Yes.
Freehand, Boda,
Yes.
Porcellis, Horn,
Yes.
Babel,
Yes.
Blackstock.
Motion carries. Thank you. Moving on to new business, item 5. Employee Health Care Reimbursement Program. Thanks, Anthony. You have that in the back of your packet. I understand it, but not 100%, so I'm going to turn it over to our township manager. Cindy, could you explain where we're at on this and how we got to where we're at?
Sure. So the township has a reimbursement program. It acts sort of as an HSA, health savings account, and it has certain criteria that it will follow. In 2015, actually in 2016, a change in the tax laws was implemented, and it wasn't caught by our staff, the staff that was providing the refunds. And so we, in my consultations with the accountant, discovered that there were a few employees, and these employees brought it to our attention that they were, that deductions were taken out of their reimbursements that by law should not have been taken. So we've identified specifically which employees and which dollar amounts, and our accounting firm has agreed to help us make sure that we file the correct paperwork. What that will do is it will allow us to recover the Social Security and Medicare that were overpaid, and that would be directly reimbursed, and then the employees would have to refile their W-2 forms in order to find out how much taxable income that they would be refunded. And that would be outside of our scope. So our scope really is to come to an agreement that we will redo all of these Social Security and Medicare taxes for these employees according to our accounting principles, so.
I think what Cindy's saying too, we have to hire this out. This is too time consuming. We really don't know how to.
Well, most of the work is done already. It's just a matter of filing the proper tax forms.
Okay. So what we're looking for is to direct the township manager to amend the 2017, 2018 W-2s and the 941 filing for the affected employees and provide reimbursement accordingly. So we would pay it and then hope to get it back on the federal level?
No, we won't pay anything until it's reimbursed to us. We'll file first, and when we receive that, it would be reallocated back to the employees. Then they would have to refile their 1040s amended for those years in order to recover any other.
Now, do we have in payroll, do we use BS&A, or we have a service? Should they have caught this, or?
This is outside of the scope. It's it's a HSA, it's actually a payable, it's not anything to do with payroll.
Okay.
Acts as an HSA, not payroll related.
Yeah, we're only talking less than $1,000 here. I mean, but still got to do it. The employees, I believe, are entitled to it. That's why we should be doing it.
One of them Heidi raised 347.
What's that?
The one Heidi raised for 347, I wouldn't even fool with that.
Yeah.
Well, what I'll
It's
probably
gotta be
do is,
paid. It's gotta be paid back.
if if the board authorizes me to do this, I will invite each employee to affirm that they want us to go ahead and do that.
Okay.
Because it's going to take some work on the employees' part too, to
Mhm.
Right.
refile their W-2 or their income tax for that
Probably
2
cost them
years.
more than they're getting back.
Well, the 347, I would agree, it's probably going to cost some more to refile, but
Yeah.
that'll be a choice that you'll make on a case-by-case basis?
Correct. I'll work with each employee and give them their options.
So we just need a motion to allow the township manager to amend those.
I make the motion that we direct the township manager to amend the 2017, 2018 W-2s and 941 filings for affected employees and provide reimbursements accordingly.
I'll support.
And how about the cost on that? Are we gonna, we don't know what the cost will be yet, right?
I don't. I had a brief conversation. They're willing to help us. I think it's just a matter of knowing which forms to file and
Okay.
making sure they get filed correctly.
Well, you can keep us updated on that. All right, so we have a motion and we have a support. Is there any further discussion on this? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next, moving on to old business, we don't have any. Township managers report, do you have something ready, or?
Don't.
Hmm?
I do not.
Okay. She's been very busy. Okay, do you have anything you want to comment on now?
I think that there are two issues that you'll probably,
Yeah, I'm gonna bring those up.
I did, the power plan letter, I did send that out to each one of you. It came at the end of the week, last week. Our liability insurance carrier, Michigan Township Participating Plan, did conduct our site visit and audit last Tuesday. They visited all of our township properties and interviewed key personnel, and their findings are contained in this letter. So what I would recommend is if you could review this, and if there are any concerns that you have that we would want to research further, or anything that you would ask that we implement according to their recommendations, that we can add that to a future agenda.
Okay, thank you.
A lot of things to thread there.
Next, we'll move on to announcements. The only announcement I have here is the Department of the Army is having a Waterways and Wetland and U of Southeastern Michigan Special Edition. It's a meeting that's going to be held in Clinton Township, Michigan, Tuesday, June 25th. This event will focus on high water levels, shore erosion, and shore protection projects. We encourage shoreline property owners, contractors, consultants, municipalities, and anyone with an interest in shoreline processes and shore protection projects to attend. We also invite you to post the attached flyer and share this information on social media so interested parties may attend. We've got a flyer here. We'll post it.
Can you give us a copy of that
We can get you a copy, yeah.
so I can attend it?
Yeah, it just came today.
Yeah, it
So I'll
just
make
came in
copies.
this afternoon.
We can do
Yeah,
that
we'll get you
before
copies of it, but
Okay.
we're just making the announcement that it's out there. We'll post this on the board, and anybody that wants to run a copy can,
Okay,
we can get you
good.
one done.
Because I don't think they're doing enough for us. I don't see no sheriffs out there at all,
Really?
so throwing them waves right over the high.
I understand that south of Marine City, it's a no-wake zone.
Parsons Island, down there it is.
Okay, moving on, that's the end of the announcements that I have. Now we'll go on to member comments. Mr. Horn?
I've got one. We've got a problem lot down south of 5531 Point Drive. That water is coming over that wall and it's filling the lot in, and the water's running on both sides of the neighbors.
Where is this at now?
Down there at 5531, 3 or 4 doors south of me. You know the low lot down there that's...
Yes.
Well, that lot is filling up and water's running over and going under the houses of the neighbors.
That's the Street,
Hmm?
That's the Street.
Yeah, oh, yeah. Carrie Aquilina's lot, I think her name is.
I've spoken with her, and she says she has
Oh,
no
she's
money
not-
to put into it.
She's not a very bright, very good person. She'll tell you.
Well, I don't know. I enjoy talking to
But
her.
we do have a problem there. We should,
What do you want what's your
I
solution?
understand that the zoning enforcer's gonna go out there tomorrow night at 5 o'clock
Okay,
and see what he can find out.
the code enforcer? All right. Well, we'll see what they do.
That should be filled in if the water ever goes down. It's been that way for
Gotta talk
years.
to JC
Right.
about that.
Hmm?
Gotta talk to JC about that.
I would talk to Craylick about it years ago, nothing happened.
Because I'm talking to a dictator.
Is that all you had on your,
That's all I have.
Mr. Boda?
I'm surprised, I have nothing this evening, thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Pavel?
Nothing tonight.
I've got several things.
I
figured.
you would.
I'll pass this down to Mr. Horn and one to yourself.
No, what do we got?
Take a recall.
Okay, what I want to talk about right now, we've been in conversation with China Township, the Road Commission, and DTE as to Recor Road, the gravel part of Recor Road. With what we're talking about with this bridge, it's going to be out of service for an extended period of time right in the middle of their project. So they've agreed to help us monetarily on the paving of this Recor Road.
Is that the King Road or just the township line? Is that the King Road or just?
All the way to King Road, yes. As you can see in this little brochure that I gave you, the bulk of it's gonna be by DTE and the Road Commission. They're working together on this. At the very end, if there's some overrides or something, we may be asked to pay a little bit of fundage for it. It's a gravel road. I mean, it costs us a lot of money just to re-gravel it every year or every other year. So
Of course, yeah.
I just wanted to let you know that we're working on this. We've been in communications. I think it's a good thing. I think it helps everybody, and that's why we're working on it, so.
I was hoping the Edison would step in and give us a hand.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's gonna, with this right turn only up here at the Blue Water Energy Center, it makes everybody come south. They've also applied through the state for a temporary streetlight out there. It won't be something that'll be up forever. It'll be up, if they get it during the construction project.
On the corner of King and, or on,
Recor, or Reamer and M29.
okay, how about King and,
What's
how
that?
about King and the Recor, where they pull out?
We haven't discussed that yet, if we see it's gonna be a problem. But this road will be like a Class B road. It won't be a truck route, but trucks can go down it if they're legal. You know, they won't, it's not gonna be a Class A highway like M29. It'll be a Class B road, but trucks can go down Class B roads if they're within the weight restrictions.
If they fly out of there.
So we'd like to get this done probably this year, if we could. We're letting the Road Commission and DTE and us, we're all working together to see when we can make this
Is
happen.
China getting into this too?
What's that?
China gonna be involved in it too?
Yeah, they'll be involved, and she's presenting that to their board meeting tonight, so I mean, we're hoping we'll all be involved. We don't expect any big cost to, the townships, so
That's great.
that's a good thing. Next thing I'd like to talk about is the sandbagging that we're doing here. As you know, a couple weeks ago, we got the community service workers, connected it all up and filled bags, we gave bags, the township has bought sand. We've went above and beyond, for our residents and with these sandbags, and we want to do that. But we've had some abuse. We put out a couple thousand bags, and the next morning, they're all gone.
Oh,
And so now we're changing our format here. We're going to, if you want bags, we'll have the bags to give you, but you're gonna have to come during regular working hours to the office here and get them.
that's good.
Get for the bags,
Yeah, well, we'll have them here, or we'll give you a slip to go down and, or something like that. We're not gonna have Wendy handling bags all day. But, we'll have
I don't
something set
mind.
up, but you'll have to come here to initiate it.
Yeah, I've been hearing about the bags disappearing real quick.
Well, what's happening is contractors are doing bagging, and they're taking our bag and our sand and making a profit on it. So it just takes a couple people to goof it up for everybody, and that's what we feel has happened. So we definitely want to help the residents with the sandbagging. You know, you should try to sandbag to protect your property. Do what you have to do with the sandbags. Talking with emergency management, sandbags don't really need a permit. It's a temporary structure. So, you know, try to be good with your neighbors. I mean, it's a trying time, as you can hear the people we've had here tonight. The water is it's a mess, and we all have it. It doesn't, I don't think there's anybody that's not touched, even the people that don't live on the river, as you can see. So that's gonna be our new procedure on the sandbags. Is there anything to add to that, Cindy? or-
I don't think so.
Did I
We
cover
will ask them to show some sort of form of residency proof. We ID, look them up, make sure that,
I've been hearing about the sandbags disappearing, was, when I push them out.
I didn't think I'd have to do mine, but I'm gonna have to,
Yeah.
I guess.
And the only other thing is, this just came tonight, is, I don't know if you remember a couple years ago when the chapel up there, the propane tank, I know Blaine knows, we were paying $5 and something a gallon for that propane up there to heat the chapel, and it was thousands of dollars to heat that chapel. So when I seen that in the budget before, when I took over, we contacted some other people, and this was our best buy, this Persh propane company out of Emily City. They're asking us to do and I did this once already, but it's within my limit, but I'm letting you know what we're doing. If you buy 100-gallon minimum, or 100 gallons in increments of 100 gallons, we can lock in for $1.44 a gallon. There's a $500-gallon minimum purchase, but if we don't use the whole 500 gallons, they give us a credit back. And we've been using this company for, it's gotta be 3-4 years,
2 or 3 for sure.
and we've had good results from them. So, at the time I did the research on this, I mean, it was a good deal for the township. So I'm just gonna tell you that we're probably gonna continue this. It's less than $1,000, so it's,
How big is that tank we got over there? It's well over.
well, we got a new tank and all new lines when they put that in on their dime.
How big is that tank?
Probably 1,000,
500? Is it?
yeah. We only use about a tank a year, don't we?
That depends on the weather.
Yeah. But I just want to let you know that that's something we're working on. With that, I don't have anything else, so I guess a motion to adjourn would be in order.
I'll make a motion that, we adjourn at 8:58, so last week,
I'll support.
last week.
All right, it's been moved and supported that we adjourn at 8:58. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries, we're adjourned, thank you.